Welcome to TradeTheNBI.com. This is John. This report is for the 22nd of July. Well, continuation of the bounce back. And again, we get to the ABM magenta, popped above that, and then it was the next resistance was the ABM yellow, and we pierced that one as well. And no shock from there. We were looking at declining NBI with the magenta having popped back above, and that was sufficient. So short-term buyers really elevated this, and now we're starting to see a little play from the midterm. Nice and clean action. Of course, the NASDAQ has been much stronger in general. It barely even breached the 76%, closed above it anyway, and made it right back to the ABM yellow and was off from there. So is it likely to continue from this state? Well, you've got a complete reset of your shakeout indicator. So new histogram rise, as long as it takes out the previous highs while making new highs, no incongruency with that at all. It's pretty strong from NBI reading. This is the first elevation we've had of white NBI getting up above 10 here. If it remains there, it adds some consequential risks, but we're clearly going to see whether or not we get a crossover of cyan with the green. If that happens, it's still quite a ways away. So it's one of those building effects, and it can take place for a while. Traditionally, not exactly a bullish period going into this coming next week all the way through August, but it doesn't really matter. As long as the volatility is there, we have the readings that will give us the direction. Gold not doing anything because, again, there's still uncertainty about some of these stimulus spendings, and if that's the case, then it may not drive inflation. Of course, with also, as we talked about, the massive influx of labor that will eventually spread its way through is certainly going to put a dampening effect on wages, at least on the bottom end, and that will stave off some of the inflationary pressure. Again, the euro not really moving anywhere yet. Still some positive signs from an NBI reading. It's just no incentive because there's nothing good happening in the euro. And from a Bitcoin standpoint, a little fun there because we had that massive dip that filled our white NBI, suggesting we moved to the 0 point. And then we started to get buy configuration and turned green from there. Kind of floated across sideways for a little while, but then took off secondary move there once we got a much higher shakeout, which moved it from that negative 13 well inside a decent range, and boom, it exploded from there. Pretty straightforward. I mean, that's about as clean as it gets, so nothing complicated. Fun stuff here. The bottom chart here is the current PNT2 that we utilize, and up above here some of the adjustments I'm making. The only reason they're colored a little bit differently is just so I can identify the areas. What we have here is a little more of a continuation run that doesn't include the brief little red candle dip there. Same spot from a buy on the NBI candles right there, but slightly earlier from the buy off the dip, simply because of it recognizing even though the white was over magenta, that you had DOC green over cyan, and that negates the significance of that. And that, it buys a few extra points, and this extrapolates over a much broader area going through. If we look at the rest of the day, there really wasn't a whole lot before that peak and roll. So all good, and as soon as I've completed that, there's also an update for the DOC, and get those out in the next day or so before renewals, or at least by Monday you'll have them, so that you'll be able to start the week with a nice updated setup that just tightens things even further, because as it is, we're looking really good, and this will just make it that much more precise. As always, though, trade well. I will keep putting up trust in the Skype chat. Have a good day.